The buzz round the stadium, really it's beginning to fill up now as we go on to the ride-off for the 5th through to 8th place. When you look at that roll call of honour there on your screen, Fiedler, Nothstein, Hubner and Moreno, certainly the top 3 there, if you sort of put all their medals in a big bag, you could hardly be able to lift it up because they've been some of those prolific sprinters in recent years. And Moreno, the world kilometre champion and Olympic champion as well, is in this lot here, but they've been beaten out of sight by Harnett, Magne, Hill and Neiwand, and they're having to ride for the lower places. And I'm sure most of these riders, except when they were coming through the early days of the sprinting, would never expect to find themselves back in this position.
Now this is a fantastic ride for 5th to 8th place, and the picture there is Moreno from Spain. Remember, he's the current kilometre champion at the Olympics. But I think what's going to possibly happen here is because Marty Nothstein, the American, down on the inside, loves to go for an early one. But the 2 Germans, they've got to work together. You know, I think really, you know, I know it's only for 5th place, but I'm sure these 2 Germans. In the picture here is Jens Fiedler, and there's Man Mountain himself, Michael Hubner.
We had 73 riders enter the men's sprint qualifications, of which only the top 24 went through. Give you some idea of the depth of interest in the championships at the Bogota track in Colombia, when somewhat 76 nations have entered riders, to a large extent because they wanted to qualify in various ways through for the Olympic Games, but nevertheless because a lot of riders coming from the South American states have also entered. But to see 73 sprinters lining up for the qualifying round was something I haven't seen for many, many years. And we've seen some cracking sprinting, and look at this cream, la creme de la creme, who are going to fight out, believe it or not, for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th medals. Well, not medals, but placings. I mean, the medals have yet to come. 1, 2 and 3, and some poor old chap's going to finish 4th as well.
So on the front of Stars and Stripes is the current sprint and Keirin champion Marty Nothstein, followed closely behind by Michael Hubner, and then it's Jens Fiedler, and laying off is Moreno, the Spanish gun. I'm sure he's going to want to take a flyer, which means he's going to want to take off before they hit the bell, just try to surprise the other 3. We're saying that Michael Hubner started dropping back, the 2nd German, to keep an eye on Moreno. But there's going to be no hanging around in this one. There's going to be no track stands. These boys just want to keep it going, because the guy in the front and the guy in the back both want to go for long ones.
In the blue then, Marty Nothstein, the reigning world champion, now having to scrabble for a 5th spot. The man behind him there in the white jersey for Germany with the power blue crash hat is Jens Fiedler, the reigning Olympic champion. He's dropped down inside Marty Nothstein. They're having a little battle, but the German rider behind with the yellow crash hat, Michael Hubner, has now got to close the gap with the Spanish rider Moreno way back behind them. They've got 1 lap to go now, and this is going to be a humdinger, but they're all fighting for the fastest wheel to get on, and round they go as Moreno, using all his sheer speed, comes over the top, powering away here. Fiedler's on the inside, Marty Nothstein looking for a way through, the Americans looking for a gap. Can he go inside? He's trying to go inside now, but Fiedler shut the gate on him, and there's no way he's going to get past Fiedler, who takes that one from Nothstein. Hubner coming up into 7th spot, Moreno back into 8th, and started all blue and went out of contention. They came down the straight, but nice riding by Fiedler. I hope we see an action replay of that one. He held his line very well indeed, because Nothstein was hovering to devour him if he just moved a little bit out of his line. So he takes 5th spot.
Good ride there by Jens Fiedler. Of course, all this will help towards next year, towards the seedings for the sprint at the Atlanta at the Olympics. So I think the positions were Jens Fiedler possibly from, let's have a look now. Jens Fiedler's holding off Moreno from Spain. There's no way at all for Marty Nothstein to go. He's got to wait for the gap. And over the top comes big Man Mountain himself, Hubner. So Fiedler's doing it all in the front. He's really pushing, looks under his arms, he's trying to hold on. Now, out of slipstream, there's all of a sudden a gap opens up. Marty Nothstein comes through. He sits up though too early, because look over the top, Hubner comes.
That's it then. 5th, 6th. That's it then. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th in the World Men's Sprint Championship from Bogota in Colombia. We've been entertained by some superb sprinting, and the track sport has been in a bit of a decline, but right now it's looking good as we're seeing some superb sprinters coming through. to challenge the acknowledged heads, because here Hubner going round acknowledging the applause. Way back as an amateur in 1983, we first saw him on the scene, but also he was way back also in the junior ranks as well. So the whole new ball game of sprinting coming along, and you see the crowd absolutely enjoying themselves, and I'm sure that the more the World Cup is promoted and moves across the world, and we have short, sharp, aggressive racing, sprinting, good pursuing, good keirin racing, good team pursuing, then we're going to find people saying this track game is great. And the more we mix nations and we go across the world, the more the sport grows, and I'm sure the track racing is going to get bigger and better because it's now open. There are no professionals involved, no amateurs involved, just blokes on bikes racing as fast as they can do, and you can see the crowd absolutely enjoying this ride-off for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place. Colombia, a great cycling nation, not perhaps the world's greatest home of sprinting. They're best known for the mountain climbers that have taken the King of the Mountains jersey in the Tour de France, people like Luis Herrera, and they're looking forward, in fact, to Sunday week for the Road Championships. But we are looking forward to the ride-off now between Darryn Hill and Gary Neiwand, who are cycling themselves up for the ride-off for the place in the final. Before they do that, and you can watch this on your screen, we're going to have a very busy night tonight, but I must put a plug in, by the way, for the invitation 50 miles time trial on the North Road. Sorry about this, Russell, not that I'm enjoying this back here, but we're looking at cycling now, and I say this dates back 100 years, the Amateur Sprint Championship, but this Sunday they're celebrating 100 years of time trial in Great Britain, so it's an amazing parallel between the track sprinting 100 years ago and the time trial on the North Road on Sunday.
I'm so excited, David, I'm so excited.
Well, I know it's a bit boring, blokes in all black, as they used to be in my day riding around, but some tremendous riders going to take part in the Centennial 100 miles time trial on Sunday, starting off from the Samuel Whitbread Upper School at Clifton in Shefford in Bedfordshire. They start at 8 o'clock in the morning and they should finish by 12 o'clock. During the programme, I hope I can tell you a bit more about who's taking part in that one, but it really is a who's who of time trialling. But now we're looking to see who will go through into the final between these two Australians. Lined up on the track then, Darryn Hill and Gary Neiwand of Australia. One round each, riding off for a place in the battle for the gold and silver. I use the word battle because if you saw the sprinting that went on last night, and we showed it late this afternoon on Eurosport in Europe, we saw some cracking racing between Gary Neiwand and Michael Hubner, and he's gone off now without a gold medal. In fact, the Germans without a gold medal in the sprinting either. I've been very happy to have a nice drop of champagne with my co-commentator and good friend Peter Voigt after their successes in the Tour of Spain when they got 3-stage victories, and of course we cracked another bottle when Graham Aubrey got the pursuit champions of the world. But I think I'd better find Peter a large German beer to drown his sorrows when the track championship was over and done with, and also Lutz Hetzlich, who's the other co-commentator, because they haven't done so well, but bad luck, they'll come back with a bang. But at the moment, the nation on the ascendancy is certainly Australia, and they've got two men through here in the semi-final, Darryn Hill and Gary Neiwand.
So it's one each at the moment, so the rider leading off is Gary Neiwand. He's got the long sleeves with the green and white bike, followed by his teammate and countryman, Darryn Hill. The hardest part I find with this is obviously at the World Championships, each country has a little area, and they have the soigneur, the mechanic, the manager. So after each of these heats, they've had to go down and, like, which bike does the mechanic take first? Does he take Gary's or does he take Darryn's? And who gets their legs rubbed first, you know, and who has their drink first? It's so hard because these things at the World Championships, the areas are only very, very small. They've probably got about 8 chairs. Do they sit next to each other? Do they talk to each other? It's all tense strategy here.
Well, Gary Neiwand, the world champion in 1993 at Hamar, against Darryn Hill, who was second in the World Championship last year in Palermo when Neiwand couldn't ride. So the two of them, quite rightly, as Russell was saying, the pecking order, there's no way in which they've been able to settle their differences to decide who's who in this sport right now. They've met many times at other events, but this is the one that matters. This is the one that will take either of them into a chance of taking the gold medal.
And it's really tough because all year you travel around with your teammate like this, you know, you play video games together, you know, you sit next to each other for hours and hours and hours on the plane, you eat together, and then, you know, they're probably actually rooming together, and then all of a sudden, the last day of the championships, they're in the semi-final together, and it's got to be like, you know, there's no friends here. You've just got to, you know, the best person win. And obviously you don't want to knock anybody off, but, you know, sometimes in sprinting you have to do some dangerous things like take people up to the banking so their hand scrapes against the fence, but that's part of sprinting. And so we're going to see who's going to win here. So on the front, the long sleeves, Gary Neiwand, and right behind, we're keeping it nice and gently on the blue, which is actually the Côte d'Azur, as you say in French there, Darryn Hill.
The reason that they're riding slowly here, a lot of people say in sprinting, why don't they go for the gun? If the lead-off rider went flat out and the two riders are exactly identical in performance, then the man who's in the slipstream coming down the finishing straight can flick out, and it's worth a bike length down there. Two equal riders, slipstream all the way around in that final 200 metres. The man who's in the slipstream has the advantage. So these two are very, very equal indeed, and I think we might well see a standstill so that the lead at the front will change hands, so the man in the second spot will have an opportunity of taking a tow all the way round. But get it wrong, and boy, a fraction of a second and you're out. As they roll round now, looking back to the 200-metre qualifying times, which is a useful benchmark. Gary Neiwand leading out now, did a 9.935 to break the world 200-metre record. Hill was faster, 9.926. Just that fraction between these two riders to take second spot. And when you think about it, that we had 7 men break the world 200-metre record, and of those, Fiedler and Hubner are not in with a shout for medal as they start to wind it up now. There they go.
Oh, that was close. I love it, I love it. But who's got the jump? Darren's got the jump on him. He's got to keep it going. Can Gary Neiwand bring it back? Darryn Hill's committed now. He flicked down under him, but here comes this. Here it comes. What's going to happen here? He's going to go on the inside. Gary Neiwand's going to go over the top. Now he's given up. That's it. Darryn Hill's got through. What a great move there.
The new kid on the block then moves through into ride-off. And I say new kid on the block, he actually got that second spot last year, but Neiwand was not riding. And Neiwand, who had the real comeuppance with Hubner to get through here, showed the champion sprinter what it's all about. But he's been beaten, Neiwand, by Darryn Hill on 2-1. Going through now into meet Curt Harnett in the final. Gary Neiwand will be very disappointed, I'm sure, with that one, but as far as Australia is concerned, they're in with a shout for the bronze, sorry, for the gold or the silver.
So I hope we see that again on slow motion, and they're taking it back. So it's Gary Neiwand on the front. He's leading, Darryn Hill starts to come over the top now, and he swoops straight down, just a left turn right in front. It's all legal stuff. And he gets the jump on him. Coming into the home straight here. Darryn Hill pumping and pumping and pumping. Neiwand's left it too late now, so there it is, Darryn Hill. Darryn Hill of Australia. Through to the final to meet Curt Harnett.
I suppose that's only right, really, because Curt Harnett in the qualifying rounds, 9.865 for 200 metres, an average speed of some 45.6 miles per hour. And the second fastest man, Darryn Hill, will now meet in the final for the gold and the silver.